listening to the Currently Confused Show, a podcast where young adults share their experiences, talk about their biggest mistakes, and try and help their fellow peers in the process. My name is James Foster, and I'm a young entrepreneur striving for a successful career of my own. With this show, I hope to capture the process of discovering your passion, expanding your mindset, and any other helpful tools that can guide us through this confusing time we call our 20s. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for doing this with me. And
thanks for having me, James.
Yeah. I can't wait to kind of dive into you and your life and your experiences.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like your story. How was your childhood and what was it like? Walk me through like your start.
Well, my childhood was kind of very, I guess, generic, kind of a suburb life, you know. I wasn't into anything really as a kid. I was just kind of hopping on whatever, you know, people tell me to do. I really loved sports. I was kind of a soccer guy, but at a young age, I wasn't enjoying it really until really my high school year, my freshman year in high school, when I made the team. I wasn't very good. I wasn't very interested sometimes, you know, because I'm a goalkeeper. That's what I love to play, and being 5'5" isn't the highest demand for a goalkeeper, you know.
Right.
So sometimes I would be on a team and, you know, it wasn't always the best. They would say stuff, you know, and sometimes I'd get praise, and, you know, that's one of the reasons why I kept it going. And that freshman year, whenever I made the team, was one of the, you know, it might not seem like, oh, I made the team, you know, but it was a great moment, a great part of my character now, looking back, because if I didn't, I would have probably just stuck to, I didn't really have anything to stick to in high school, you know? I would just been an average student. And the fact that I was classified as a soccer player with all these guys who were very talented at the time, it just made me feel special and made me want to get better. And that brings me to past college. And in high school, you know, I still wasn't the starter. I still wasn't the guy. And after I left, I was like, well, maybe I want to keep going. You know, I got this little praise every once in a while, and I want to have that forever, you know, this sense of value that I got playing in goal.
So is that what made you want to do soccer just to begin with? Because you said you didn't even want to do it when you were younger. Yeah,
and I guess being a part of that team my freshman year and having value, like this guy, out of all the goalies, he picked me.
Gotcha.
Know? I was a kid who wasn't really that good, and I knew I wasn't that good. But he said, well, like, maybe I could use you on my team. You know, you have value on my team, so let me pick you up and you can be on the class.
And this is high school?
This was high school, yeah.
So where did you go to elementary school and stuff like that?
I went to elementary school at Shorehaven Elementary and Sellers Middle School.
Okay.
And I was on the football team in middle school.
Really?
I didn't know that. I was on the football. I was really bad. I was a B team kid, red team. I would get tackled by these big old kids, big athletes who were like 13, 14, 12 at the time, and they would just truck me every game, and I enjoyed it. You know, it was something.
What did you play? Like what position?
I was a safety, and I also played. Since B team, it's usually one team, and they just split defense and offense.
Okay.
And I was a wide receiver, and they threw me the ball once the whole year.
Wow, why would they make you the wide receiver? Why not like a running back?
Because I guess I was quicker.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Right.
So, yeah, there was that, and it was fun. That was also fun. You know, it was something that I knew I wasn't going to be good at it, but I wanted to be something. I wanted to do a little extra in middle school. I wanted to be a little bit out of the ordinary, like, oh, maybe this little kid can play on the football team, you know?
Okay.
And even though I wasn't good, but I enjoyed it, you know? I met a lot of good friends there, and it was a fun experience. And I think that's what translated back to what I said about high school. You know, making the team is different than being put on the team like in middle school. So it was just a little bit more value that I got and cherished a little bit more, you know?
Okay, so value is definitely a big thing with you.
Yeah.
I know you and I have talked about that in the past. I definitely want to touch on that more. But getting back to just your story, that way people can get like a better idea of who you are. So you were born and raised in Texas primarily?
Yes.
Are you happy with that? Do you wish you'd grown up somewhere else?
I mean, I wouldn't really know. I mean, I could say I was born anywhere else, but I fairly enjoyed my time in Garland, and I wouldn't mind staying here for more years to come. But obviously, ambition and ideas and goals and what you see on TV influences you to move on. And
right.
So moving on wouldn't be a big deal. You know, I wouldn't
Where would
mind.
you go if you weren't here in Garland?
I would probably travel to England. I
Really?
love English. I would have said Mexico about 4 weeks ago, but I got robbed in Mexico. So
So let's talk about that for a second, because this is a really interesting story, I think. So you went down to Mexico just for like what, a trip, or to see?
it was to see some family and
Okay.
you know, to visit. I haven't been there in like 10 years. I was really excited.
Uh-huh.
I was in there 20 minutes after the airplane. We were on our way back to my aunt's neighborhood, and we stopped by to get some tacos. 15 minutes later, we go out. The car's busted.
Oh my
And they took my
gosh.
luggage, my Nintendo Switch, my mom's luggage,
Ooh.
and my grandma's luggage. And we spent 12 days with no clothes, and that was
Wow.
pretty fun. you
What
know?
a start to a trip.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
And it was oddly kind of fun. You know,
Really?
it was a little stressful,
Right.
but
of
it
course.
was. It was an eye opener, you know. You get to see the different culture. You know, I got to see it as a kid, but
Yeah, you really saw the culture on that trip.
yeah,
That's for sure.
it was too close. It was too close for the culture, you know.
I mean, it's definitely not a great story, but I think it's also
Yeah, and it's also like I'm looking at, you know, these people, and like, you know, they don't have everything. You know, they don't have
Right.
the life that I live. You know, I
Right.
was telling some of my cousins like, hey, why don't you come to the U.S. with me? You know, we can, you know, it would be fun. And he was like, well, or I asked him, wouldn't you want to come to the U.S.?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well, it's not the question if I want to go. Everyone wants to go. It's if they let me. And, you know, that's the part that, like, you touches you, you know, like, even though I got all my stuff stolen, like, I still enjoy the life that I live. And I still have a house and more clothes to go to, more clothes than I could even
Right.
imagine. So those stuff that I lost was, like, materialistic things, you know, and they have a lot of stuff, too. I'm not saying that they're like dirt cheap, you know,
No,
but they
yeah.
have goals and dreams and stuff too.
Right.
And to come to the U.S. and to have a better life, and sometimes thinking about it, it makes me feel a little sad, you know, that
Well, yeah, how can you not feel sad when,
Yeah.
you know, someone you're close to, their biggest dream in life is to be where you were at when you were born?
yeah,
That really puts things into perspective, you know?
and that's what, you know, I'm not gonna say that everyone has like a better life or a worse life than me, but that's why I'm saying I'm very thankful to be born in Garland, you know, even though, you know, some people would say, oh, Garland's this, Garland's that, you know, I don't,
Sure.
I wouldn't change it because I've enjoyed the time that I've had.
And you're extremely humble. I want to definitely say that.
Thank
For
you.
people who don't know you, you're a very humble guy.
Thank you.
You definitely are. Very talented too. I watched you play soccer.
Yeah.
What was it, a couple days ago? It was on Saturday.
Yeah.
And that was, dude, you were incredible.
Thank
really.
you.
So let's get back to talking about value, because I know that is something you're big
Yeah.
on. So you weren't too big of a fan with soccer or football, but you did appreciate the moments where, you know, you felt valued from your teammates and things like that. So why did you decide to go with soccer instead of football? Or
Well, soccer has been something that, like, you know, it's in, you know, in my culture, it's been like very influenced, and, you know, and I guess I've had the most success for that in value, you know, because like I said, you know, there was times where, you know, I would, you know, they'd be like, oh, I don't want to play with the short goalie, you know,
right.
but there was also times where they were like, wow, you're so good for being 5'5", you know, if I make,
Right.
all I had to do is make one save and I'm praised, but if I do one goal, I'm that short goalie, like, oh, I don't want
Yeah.
to play with him anymore. So that's one thing that I was willing to gamble on, and it definitely makes up for any kind of pain that I've ever had, you know? So, like, that sense of appreciation,
Mm-hmm.
even though it could be once every game and you get bashed on for 20 times in a game, and that one time, that's the only thing you remember. And
Yeah.
that's the only thing that makes you feel good. And
Well, that's good. I think that that's actually not something that everyone is born with. I think that's something that's special to you. Because I know personally, I can do a lot of things, but if one person steps out and says,
Yeah.
hey, you're stupid for doing that, or they voice their opinion, it's like,
yeah.
that sticks out like a sore thumb compared to all the compliments I've gotten and things like that. So for you, it's actually like the opposite.
Yeah.
You're more of a positive.
But it does happen sometimes, you know. It depends on the scenario. You know, there's some times where, say, you know, maybe some kid you thought was, you know, very talented. He comes up to you, says, "Hey, you're good." You know, then that means more to you.
Right.
But if that one guy who you think is really good, he's the only one who tells you, hey, that was kind of bad, you need to get better, then it would affect you. It all depends who says it, how they say it, and in the different type of situations that you're in. And that's how I get those feelings. And sometimes I try to focus on the positives, because even at the indoor game that we went to, you know, I was like, wow, I missed like 2 goals like in front of everybody, you know. Like, but I had some good saves. I thought I did decent at the game.
You did really well.
Like,
it wasn't decent. Yeah, you did really good.
And then in my head, you know, after I got home, I was like, maybe I should have saved those. It wouldn't have been so close, you know? So it all depends on the scenario, really.
Okay, from the people and things like that. So what other hobbies have you had besides soccer? Is there anything else you grew up doing besides soccer and football?
I was actually refereeing for a long time, and I enjoyed that so much.
For soccer?
For soccer.
Okay.
I enjoyed that so much. Like, I don't know, I would say I was good. I thought I was good. I would make some mistakes and just play it off. You know, you're with kids, it doesn't matter. And I don't know, that experience was fun too, because I was getting yelled at a lot.
Right.
And then I was doing some things that the parents would like I would talk to the kids, I would relate to the kids, say some little jokes that might not be appropriate to the kids, but they get it, you know. And like, they're like, oh, I want this guy to keep reffing our games, you know. And I really liked that moment, that feeling.
Refs get a lot of pressure too, though.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure.
You keep putting yourself in these high pressure spots, and you enjoy doing that?
Yeah, I think if I'm not under a lot of pressure, then that means maybe it's like testing myself. I want to see what I can do, what my capabilities are, and how can I handle them. Because I feel like in any situation that's not including that, I would panic. I panic a lot. In situations like whenever I got robbed, I panicked. Whenever something bad happens with my mother and father, I panic. And that's why, like, these heavy pressure things I enjoy, because like when it comes to refereeing and when it comes to being goalie, I don't panic as much, and that's a heavy pressure thing, and it just helps me with that idea.
Okay. Well, I would say that things that are heavy pressure are usually what we refer to in business as like high risk, high reward type things. So by putting yourself in these places that are high risk, you're honestly kind of like a little gambler, hoping that you're going to have these high rewards. Because do you think there's a part of you that really seeks this need to have a big reward, maybe to compensate for other areas of your life where you weren't always rewarded?
Yeah, I think so. I think I try to do the hardest route to maybe feel like even if I didn't get a reward, like at least I made the journey is a reward.
But is it also to impress people? And
I think so. I think there's a part of me who wants to do that. You know, there's always the cliche, you know, I don't care what people think. But,
of course, right.
But I think that everything we do is based on people around us. You know, our character is based on people around us. If you take everyone around you, then I guess you're perfect, right? Because you have no one to compare to.
Right.
So, I think that having all these people around you, they influence you. And I guess I do try to do things that impress people, because I guess that's just my nature, you know? I want to be well-liked. Everybody wants to be well-liked. Everybody wants to be recognized. And, you know, I'm not going to lie and say, oh, I don't care about that stuff, because that's what brings value to someone, is the fame, the money, everything. Value can be some guy who just needs a phone call. He just needs to talk to his friend. If all he needs, if one guy is feeling suicidal, and all he wants is to talk to his friend is the most valuable thing ever. It's the most valuable thing he could have. So I think that pleasing other people and being valuable to other people is something that I do try to do. And
do you believe you've ever been undervalued in your life, or are you currently undervalued?
I don't. In some aspects, yes, I do feel undervalued. Sometimes in the goal, I do feel undervalued. But as I get older, I realize that more and more people appreciate you than what you think. You know, it was a time where in high school, I was like, no one really cares what I do. And that's why I would throw these parties and stuff. Like, oh, maybe if I throw all these parties with all this alcohol and all this stuff,
Right.
people will value me and stuff. And it did happen, you know. I'm not going to say it didn't, because it did. And people only valued me because I threw the parties.
Right.
And so as of right now, I mean, I do feel undervalued sometimes. Sometimes, you know, there's always an idea in your head that society owes you something.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're expecting that always, and like there's every day, oh, maybe God or society will give me my reward that I deserve. I've been good, you know, all that stuff. And you know, expecting that could either make you or make it worse, you know.
I would just side that it eats at you.
Yeah, because if you don't get what you're expecting and stuff like that, it hurts a little bit more, and it eats you away.
Right. So if value was like a formula, like say we're in math class, I think something that you could plug in that could kind of give you a result that you might be looking for is confidence.
Yes.
Value is seeking something from other people, kind of seeking like approval, right? And so if you have this confidence, it is a fact you are always going to be seeking from other people, right?
Yeah.
We live in a society. Every move we make needs to be beneficial to other people around us. Otherwise, it's hard to ever get, you know, successful. But at the same time, there is this level of self-confidence that needs to be developed. So in that way, you're not seeking, you know, an abundant amount of value from other people. You know, it's a good balance between, okay, yeah, I'll seek for people's, you know, opinion here, but at the end of the day, I need to be confident in myself, my own abilities and stuff like that. Would you say that you have lack of confidence? Have you been growing your confidence, building your confidence over the years? Are you still building it? Where are you at?
I would say a few years ago, I had little to no confidence, and I think that's why I always seek approval of other people, you know, getting other people's, you know, recognition and stuff like that, because it makes me feel a little valuable. And as time goes, you know, I had a nice freshman year of college, you know, I felt valued, and it does help with the confidence, you know. I walked into my sophomore year of college like, oh, I'm probably going to start, I'm probably going to do this, I'm probably going to do that. You know, maybe not all of it came through, maybe it was a little cocky, you know, but it was different, you know. And, you know, my sophomore year didn't go great, but it was a different experience, you know. I wasn't the guy who was like, oh, I'm never going to play anymore, you know? Because when I went to freshman year, I was like, I'm just lucky to be here. I'm just lucky to be playing college soccer. And I didn't really mind what people said, or I didn't really have that confidence, really, of playing. You know, I was just like, oh, I'm not going to play. I'm just happy to be here. Let me just work hard so maybe I can get a chance to play a little bit.
Okay.
And as you get older, it just comes now. I still lack confidence, but I think it's building now. It's building now, since now I'm having more self-value added to myself.
Okay. If you were to give someone some tips on how to build their confidence, what would you say that you implemented that really changed and started shifting you towards where you're going today with your confidence?
I feel like you gain confidence by working on stuff. So whatever you want to improve, for like example, I wanted to get better at soccer. So to gain confidence in while I'm playing, I would practice on my own. You know, whether it be an hour a day, twice a day,
sure,
you know, doing stuff extra. So now when you get on the field, you're like, well, I have 6 hours extra than I did the last week. So I'm going to use that. I have more experience. And like when you have the setup, like this setup, for example, you have more stuff, you have a light, you have all this gear. It gives you more confidence that the podcast will be successful.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I think just working on stuff and adding and improving yourself and realizing these improvements, or the realizing won't come right away. It slowly comes after a while, after you feel a little bit of success into it.
Okay.
So I think just improving whatever you like to do, whether you like to run, whether you like to do sports, whether you like to draw, you know,
right.
If you like drawing, you draw more pictures every day, and you know, maybe you'll say, maybe, oh, well, this is like my 10th drawing today. Maybe I can show it to somebody,
right?
And make it a little valuable.
Confidence. Yeah, has to take a little value.
And I think working on yourself and improving every day will add that confidence.
I love that response. And the term I like to use is fulfilling your purpose. When you're doing something you're good at and you're building your confidence, you're fulfilling your purpose. There's a curveball that I know a lot of people would like to throw in there, which is loneliness. Like, for example, let's just say I need to go to the gym, right? Because I want to, work on myself, improve my physique and things like that. Going to the gym alone can be kind of hard, right? Or even practicing soccer without a friend, I can imagine. It's a little, but if it's something that I feel like you're truly passionate about, it makes it just a little easier to go and do it yourself, because you have that fulfillment of just, that euphoric feeling of fulfilling your purpose and really grinding on yourself. That, I think that is the formula to building your self-confidence, and then overall seeking less value from others.
And then, so now you have the value on yourself instead of getting it from others. But either way, I feel like you have to have a balance of both.
Definitely.
Because if you have so much value in yourself, you're cocky. If you have so much value depending on other people, you're insecure.
Right.
So,
well said.
I think you have to have a balance of both and realize what is needed and what you need,
Definitely. So going back to these high school bangers you were throwing, because I know those were fun times.
Yeah.
Did you, what was the craziest experience you had from that? Were there times, I know we're having more of a serious talk about value, but just kind of like a side story. What was the craziest time or something that happened on one of those parties?
There was one night that was so crazy, and it was when I came back from my freshman year of college. It was Thanksgiving, and my senior year, I had a Friendsgiving and a Friendsmas and a New Year's bash. And those were all great parties, But the most memorable one was my freshman year of college, coming back from school, that Friendsgiving bash. And that was just so chaotic. It was because there's people from, after the freshman year, they get a little bit wilder. You get a little people who stay and they kind of, fall into their own things. Sometimes they smoke a little bit more. Sometimes they drink a little bit more. But that happens in college too. So it was a little bit more crazier. And there was this one girl, I'm not going to say her name.
Yeah, no need to.
She first, she was grinding on my dad. She was twerking on my dad.
How old is your dad?
My dad's at the time, he was probably 44, 45.
Okay. And how old is this girl?
This girl was probably 19, 18.
19, okay, 18, 19.
And so it was legal, obviously. And she was just, she was drunk, and, obviously it was legal, but never heard her drink. But but she was grinding and she was having fun, and then she got all crazy, but that wasn't the worst part. There was females everywhere. And then that's whenever I took her to the room, and that happened, and then my brother took her home, and then that happened. So it was all over the place. And then when we got back, one of my cousins came from the Marines. Okay. And I told my brother not to invite him. I love him so much. He's a great guy. But when he's intoxicated, he's uncontrollable.
Like an angry?
Yeah, kind of like an angry.
Ooh, okay.
And he was just like drinking and drinking and drinking, and he loves to be physical. He loves to be physical with my dad. But that's the type of guys they are. So he gets one of my friends. He's like, "Hey, who wants to fucking wrestle?" And my friend's like, "No, dude, we don't want to wrestle." And he just grabs him, puts him in a chokehold. And I was like, "All right, my guy, we kind of need to stop. It's getting out of hand." And my friend gets up, and my cousin gets up. He's like, "Bro, you okay?" And I was looking at my cousin. I was like, "Really? Like, why would you do that?" My friend gets up. He can't even see straight. He just swings and he hits me in the ear. He hits me instead of my cousin.
Oh my god!
And then my cousin looks at him and he's like, "Hey, what's your problem, bro? That's my cousin." And he hits him.
Oh my goodness!
And that sequence happens back and forth, like twice or three times. And I was like, "Yeah, my ear is sore, and we need to stop this right now. You get over there. We'll get him outside, and you go over there. My cousin go. We'll talk to you in a bit." And then my uncle was also there, but it was on my opposite side of the family, so they weren't related at all. And whenever my friend came back, we cooled him down. Whenever he came back, my uncle saw that we were holding him back. My uncle thought he hit me, and he also hit my friend, and that was just crazy. We had to stop that again.
Oh my gosh.
And then my brother, I love him to death, but he went crazy that night too. He was a little upset after something what happened, and he was just punching holes in the wall. He was punching holes in the wall like that, and
oh my god!
And then we had to hug him and stop him, and he swung at my dad, and he hit him, and yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy night. And
oh my gosh!
And then the next day, that girl that was going crazy, she came in the morning, and she was like, "Hey, where's my phone, guys? Oh my god, where's my phone?" And we were acting like nothing ever happened because that thing was at night.
Right.
After everyone mostly was gone. And we were like, "Hey girl, they dropped it in the wall. In the hole, you see your phone's in there." Her phone wasn't in there, but we were just messing with her.
Yeah.
We were just like, her phone got stolen,
Did she ever find it?
No, she never found her phone.
Do you guys even know what happened to it?
No, there was thieves everywhere and my house. People stole so many things.
I thought this was a Friendsgiving. These are supposed to be
it was, but every party there's thieves, know, because every party that I threw, there was one party that I threw where it was an international student. We brought him he was gonna play in the Dallas Cup. Okay. And we brought him, and next thing you know, he's like, "Where's me fucking money, mate? I lost me money. $300, 300 bills or whatever." Yeah. And we're just like, "Bro, we don't know who has your money." Or we had an idea, but we didn't want to. When someone steals money, you don't want to search anybody because then people get offended and stuff. Yeah. And we're just like, "Bro, we don't know." I've stolen shirts just because people leave them there. Yeah. That's what happened. I had a collection of shirts that just weren't mine. And they always fit perfect. It's crazy. I love
great.
that.
Yeah, that's great.
Every time I found the shirt, I was like, "Man, this would be nice on me."
Shirt, yeah, exactly.
I don't know whose it is, but
do you ever run into like the guy down the road and he's like, "Hey, that's my shirt"?
I've had it happen before. It was with a friend, because usually friends come over to the parties and they're just like, "Hey, I left my shirt at your house." I was like, "Oh, is it this one?" And like, "Oh, yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. That's why I brought it up."
Oh, okay, that's cool. Did you give it back, or you just
no? I usually don't give it back.
At least you're honest about it.
Yeah, I usually don't.
I got to appreciate that. That's awesome. Okay, so getting back into more like just life and deeper topics and things like that, what would you say is the biggest risk you've ever taken besides stealing someone's shirt and and walking around with it?
I think the biggest risk I've taken was leave to school. Because that's something that.
So for people who don't know, where do you go to school right now, and how long have you been going there?
Well, I'm going to McMurray University as of in 2 weeks, but 2 years ago, or as of 3 months ago, I was attending Jacksonville College, not university. It's not in Florida. It's in Texas. Jacksonville College, a junior college in Jacksonville, Texas. Mm-hmm. And I was going there for 2 years to play, and I'm transferring now to McMurray University, and hopefully it goes great.
Okay, why are you transferring?
Just because it's a 2 year. I finished. I graduated.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay, I gotcha. So the biggest risk you've ever taken was going to Jackson?
I think so, going to Jacksonville. And I say that because, I wasn't expecting, much, but, leaving home is something that, technically I'm not leaving home, but you're risking, money to go to school. You're risking all this stuff, and I might not even play. I didn't really want to go to that school. I just wanted to keep on playing. Mm-hmm. And I was risking a lot of my money, my parents' money. It was kind of expensive for us, and I was risking. Maybe what if I don't enjoy it and I have to? We basically wasted all my mom's money or all my dad's money that we've invested into this school. Right. And I think that was my biggest my biggest risk was going there.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely think so. Like, for the first time ever moving out and going on your own, it totally makes sense that is, were you terrified to leave home and try life out on your own?
I wasn't that scared. I was more scared of, will I enjoy Jacksonville? Because like I said, there was some moments, because these guys who are on your team, those are basically most like a quarter of the school, Yeah. Those are going to be my guys who I talk to. And imagine if I don't perform well. Right. If you don't perform well, then I'm not going to be valuable to them. I'm just going to be another guy. I'm just going to be another student to them. So I had to perform well. In my eyes, I had to perform well. If not, I wouldn't probably have been liked by these people.
But you did, and you performed excellent, right? You got prom.
I got
prom king.
I got a homecoming king at Jacksonville College. Okay. Yeah, I did. That was my sophomore year.
Yeah. And so you got the recognition from just people at the college and things like that. People enjoy your company and your words of wisdom and things like that.
Well, I was an English tutor at Jacksonville. I was a math and Spanish tutor. I was all of that. And you know, not all of these kids were the smartest kids, and the fact that they would come in and ask for help was kind of brave, and even it kind of reflects to what happened with me. I heard there was a guy who I knew who was like, hey, I got a full ride just tutoring. And I was like, hey, that sounds cool. I want that. I want to tutor for free. I want to tutor and then go to school for free. So I asked around and they were like, well, that job's not available. I had a 4.0 my first semester. So I was like, hey, I can do this. And then they were like, well, we'll put you with the elementary kids in the school next door at the elementary school. And, you could do that for $7.25. And I was like, I kind of prefer to be at the school. And I talked to the lady in the learning center, and I was like, hey, I was wondering if I could, tutor here, because they want to move me to the other place. And I was trying to talk to them, but they didn't want to, really listen. And she was like, well, I can qualify you. And she saw my work, and then she saw my grades and my transcript, and she was like, yeah, we'll get you here. So I didn't get the full, full ride,
Right.
I just got paid $7.25, but it was better because I got to see how people write, see my level, their level, how I can help. And there was a lot of stuff I didn't know. Like, I was in ESL as a kid in elementary school, so I didn't really know much, but I feel like asking questions with my boss, I was like, hey, I don't really know this. Can you help me out? Should I put a comma or should I put this? Because, my job was, I was focusing on, how to get them started, like, I can get you your ideas. I can tell you what to say, but grammar, punctuation, you could do all that yourself. That's kind of how I did it.
Okay.
And I was just like, hey, I helped them with the essay, and I was like, all right, we'll double check with the lady with the grammar and punctuation. And she helped, and then that's kind of how I learned, little by little. I still think I'm not where I need to be, but just because the level was a little lower at the school. Less students, not that expensive, not very recognized. So the level of education was a little lower.
Okay.
So that's why I think I was able to take advantage of that idea. But I feel like I didn't take advantage of anybody because it helped me and I helped the students learn too.
Right. You kind of stepped up as a leader. And
it was a little bit, I was very ambitious, and I don't know, it was something that I felt like I could do, and it helped me. And that's one of the reasons why I got recognized as homecoming king, because I would help a lot of students at the TLC.
Yeah. And it paid off, dude. Yeah. You did it. You got that recognition. That's awesome. So do you think your priorities have changed since you have been in high school?
Somewhat. Like, I would say in high school, I did want to have like this cliche, cool guy, popularity kind of thing. Vibe, kind of. Yeah, everyone wants that. Some people say they don't want it, but because they already have someone who gives them value. But, I didn't really have a little shawty for me in high school. I got you. So just having, those parties kind of made up for it, Uh-huh. And I guess now it's kind of the same thing, but for a different audience, I would say. So I'm trying to impress, a certain group of people, like my family, maybe even higher teachers, higher professors, trying to impress them instead of, whether I could last 10 seconds on a keg, Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Higher goals. That's good. But it's kind of the same idea, impressing people and showing people what I can do and showing my value in the world, Okay. So that's really what I'm trying to do, see what if what I can do can affect someone and can mean something to them. So if anything's changed, it's been the people that you're trying to impress now. They're more higher class people that, you actually have to work towards, rather than people that
looking back in retrospect, or at a lower level than where you wanted to be?
Well, I wouldn't say lower level. I just would say, these kids are looking for a guy who can party. These kids, that's what they value. They value a guy who has the ladies, who can drink the most, who can, can throw the most parties or throw the coolest rager. That's what they want. I wouldn't say that I'm, impressing a lower class people in society. I would say I'm just maturing, because it's not immature to drink, or it's not immature to do that. But it was something that I got tired of, It was something that I didn't want to do anymore.
Okay.
And that's always going to be there. That's always going to be a part of our American society, is the red Solo cups, the parties and drinking and stuff. And I just feel like my time with that has passed. So it's now time to move on. And
do you feel like that was an important part to live through, or could you have done things differently, or could you have avoided it altogether?
With the partying, I don't think I would have regretted it or done something different. I think I did. I think I got it all of my system out the way, or all of it.
That's
and
good. Yeah.
I feel like I've matured because of it. Now I know what to do. Now I see, what I can drink, what I can't drink. If I want to go out, how to be responsible with myself and others around me.
Okay. So do you think that people should have to go through this stage of life where they kind of just go out and experience and test things out themselves? Or can they...
I think everyone should do that, but it doesn't have to be with drinking. You don't have to go drink. But like, for example, there was one day, me and my friends, we heard of rock climbing. We went rock climbing one day. It wasn't for us, but it was fun. It was a very ambitious thing we did. And whether I feel like a lot of problems that people have today is finding that sense of value and what are they looking for. So probably it's hard to explain it. It's hard for, let me think about it real quick.
Okay.
The sense of purpose, their purpose. So mine was finding value in soccer.
Right.
Not everyone has soccer. I would say go to the gym. Not everyone can go to the gym. Not everyone enjoys the gym. And finding that special purpose in your life is something that is the main struggle, I feel like, because it was a struggle for me, and if I wouldn't have made that soccer team, I would be just like everybody else,
Right.
I would have probably found something to do and to improve upon, but I feel like that's what people struggle with the most. And because people get out of high school, they see that they're done with everything, and now they have to work the 9 to 5.
Or they just are trying to find out what they want to do, and they're scrambling, and they're kind of currently confused.
Yeah, currently confused.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's the hardest thing to do. Some people have it very fortunate. Some people have people to influence you. And I think that influence that you get from people is what makes you have those decisions. So, like, for example, for example, most of the people who stay home, it's not a stereotype. If school's not for everyone, but there's some people who I've seen in my area, they stay, and then they, all they do is wait till they finish work for the week, get paid Friday, buy their bottles and get messed up Friday, Saturday, spend the money in the club, and then recycle all over again on Monday.
So something I would like to say to those people, not trying to put them down or anything like that, but that's someone, typically things like consuming alcohol or consuming drugs or any sort of substance that's going to alter your average normal mentality. You're trying to, you're either trying to have fun and just live in the moment and not really think of tomorrow, right? Or you're trying to push away something that's going on mentally.
Escape from
exactly.
the reality.
And you're using this substance, whatever it may be, to escape from that. And I think for such a young audience of people, like our peers and things like that, like, I know I'm not older, I'm not wise or anything like that, but my advice from the path I've taken, I didn't go to parties in high school very often. I didn't drink and go crazy and do drugs, never smoked weed, anything like that. Stayed clean from all of that. But something I would strongly suggest is, until you have your life figured out, until you've really thought things out super clear and you have real stress, there's no need to be doing this. I understand having fun with friends Like, I get that, but I don't think that this is honestly necessary.
Yeah.
To go, I understand, like you were saying, you wanted to get it out of your system, you wanted to have that experience. Yeah. But with me, I took a different route. I spent that free time, and currently I'm not in college. Yeah. So a lot of people that aren't in college, like you were saying, they're kind of just working this job, getting off.
It's a stereotype that I was saying. So
right.
It's not everyone.
Right. Exactly. But I would say that's an accurate stereotype. Mm-hmm. That is confidently a majority of people right now, because they're not working on anything else. Maybe because they haven't discovered their purpose yet. Mm-hmm. They don't know their passion. They're still searching for that. Mm-hmm. And so my advice, if you can afford it, go to school. Yeah. If you can't afford it, go to community college, get out the loans. It's worth it. But you need to kind of find your passion and do hobbies, do things on the side. To find your passion, start with what you don't like. Think about like with foods and things like that. You couldn't name every single food on earth that you like, but you could easier name what you don't like. Yeah. You know? So work it from the opposite end. Think about things you don't like, things you aren't passionate about, and then try these new hobbies while you have this abundance of time and you're young. Mm-hmm. But I do think there's a time, and there should be a shot clock, where you need to really dial things in and come to a decision and just work at that. Mm-hmm. You know?
Another thing that I feel like people do is everyone wants to escape from our reality. You know, everyone thinks we live a boring, everyone thinks they live a boring life.
Right.
So, that's why people try to do whatever they can to escape from their lives, whether it be drugs, alcohol, sports, hobbies. And I feel like that's the best medicine for anything. It's just a little breather, a little escape from your day-to-day lives. And some people use drugs and alcohol, and it's not really healthy. It's not really a healthy way to escape. So if you need to escape in a healthy way.
Find a hobby.
Be ambitious,
Right.
Talk to people who you might not think. And there's probably some kids out there, and even in our high school, from my cousins, sometimes I see it in them, they don't really know what they want to do. As
hard as it is to admit that you have a boring life and you're not happy and satisfied with your life, as hard as this is for me to say, even, that's on you.
Yeah.
That's entirely your fault. It's on you. And, don't play the victim.
Yeah, never.
Don't act like, I blame so-and-so for this. This is why I am the way. Just forget that, Forget the past for a second. Understand, that's a scar. You're always going to bear that for the rest of your life. But it's time to move on. You need to let that heal. And you ultimately need to move on and start working on something more productive and finding a passion and finding things by just going out there and trying new things. Mm-hmm. Honestly, if you're in college and college is taking up all of your time, for one, if you don't have any time right now and you're in your 20s, you really need to figure things out.
Yeah, there's so much. I hate the saying, there's not enough time. That's the cliche that life is short. But think about it. We're awake for 13, 14 hours a day.
Definitely.
We only need to sleep. You need your sleep. So you could sleep 8, 9 hours. That leaves you.
I get 6 on most nights, and I'm happy with that.
And there's so much time in the day. There isn't always saying life could be longer. I do think so, but there's so much time. There's so much time in the day. There's so many ways to be productive about it.
Change the world as much as you can while you're here on this earth.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you might as well not even be here.
Yeah.
You're just going to be another stone in a graveyard that's just taking up space for someone else who could have changed the world in ways you didn't.
Yeah.
So be productive. Definitely. I love that point. So kind of getting on talking about like life and how short it is and things like that, what would you say are the top 3 things on your bucket list that you want to do before you die?
A bucket list?
Yeah. Have you heard of that term?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, I can't think of anything.
I know, I kind of put you on the spot with this one. It's definitely a hard one.
One is I want to go to a Champions League game. I want to go watch a game with the best of the best playing.
Okay.
At the biggest crowd. I want to be on not on the field, but I just want to see it. I want to see that way that the sport has made me feel, and how that reflects in the biggest stage, or maybe a World Cup final. No, I changed it to a World Cup final.
Okay.
Not the Champions League.
That would be awesome.
That would be beautiful, because that's, football is such a passion around the world, and it's, when I hear stories of international students, when I was at Jacksonville, there were some international students who would say, well, I didn't have anything else. I had a lot of stuff. If I want to keep on playing, if I want to get a better education, it's by playing. So I have to play. If I don't play, I can't afford school.
Wow.
So I was, stuff like that just touches me. It makes me want to work harder too. If I can do what they do, then maybe my family doesn't have to struggle as well.
Definitely. That's cool. So what's number 2 on the list?
On the bucket list, I'm trying to think. This is difficult. Let me see.
You got a short life. What do you want to get done in this time you got?
I need to go to Japan. I need to go to Japan.
Why?
I love the culture there. I just love the way they live and stuff. And it just makes me, when I see the animes and I see, but what I love seeing is the tours on YouTube where they go across.
I've seen those.
To Kyoto and to Tokyo.
What's that guy's channel? It's Only in Japan?
Yeah, something like that. And they just do tours, and when I see that stuff, I'm just like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
And another one would probably be maybe to go to Africa. I want to go to Africa. I had some African friends, and they just very humbling people. So I kind of want to go to Africa to see.
Definitely. I'd love to go with you. That'd be awesome.
Because there's always like a cliche that like Africa is poor and all this stuff.
Right.
But what I hear from my friends, it's a thriving place. There's cities, there's everything, and I was just like, wow, it's a lot more than what is told to me.
Definitely.
And that's something I want to see firsthand, is to go to Africa, Japan, and World Cup final.
That'd be awesome. So would you say you're a big traveler? I
would love to travel the world.
Yeah, I think most people would. I think a lot of people I've talked to, they say they would love to travel. I think that would be awesome, just to expand your mind and really see all these different places. So here's the bigger question. I know that was a big question. Maybe
that was a little difficult.
But here's the bigger question, and you're not going to like this one.
All right.
Why can't you do those things in the next 6 months? What's the main thing stopping you?
Well, the main thing stopping me is my own goals. So my goals are stopping me from that, because this is something that can wait for me. This is something that's not, I don't want to do it right now. There's something that I can put aside and save up for later. I could say that price and financial this and stuff is stopping me, but that's because I'm investing it into my education. I'm investing it into my future. If I spent all my money that I have right now to go to Japan, to go to Africa, to go to the World Cup final, I might have all that money if I just stop and worked for 6 months.
Right.
But I don't want to work for 6 months. I want to go to school and invest. So when I find a real job that I enjoy, it's something that will last forever.
How do you know that tomorrow is promised to you? How do you know?
It's not. And that's the risk I would take.
So even if you died tomorrow, you would be happy with where you stand today?
Yeah, because I was planning ahead. It was not for tomorrow. It just wasn't part of my plan for tomorrow. It was meant for another day.
I like that. I think that's honestly one of the best answers. I know a lot of people I've spoken with are like, they're going to be like a free-spirited, kind of go with the flow, just trying to make it to the end of the week type of person. But you like to personally plan? Yeah.
Well, it's not like sometimes, planning doesn't go as right. Sometimes
right.
Especially now, since, I'm not really working that much, and, I get home, I have all these goals, all these, things I need to do. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I can wait. It has a due date, but, they can wait. But when something that big, with something that valuable to me, isn't really needed. Those are needs. Those are wants, not needs. What I need is to find my value. And if I go to Japan, if I go to Africa, if I go to the World Cup final, maybe I could find my value there.
Right.
But for sure, I'll find it playing in
That's
college.
Great. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Definitely, if you do live, longer than tomorrow, you gotta go and get those 3 things off your list. I think that would be really cool.
Well, if I have a week to live, you'd see me in Japan, in Kyoto.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I wouldn't know, so I'm not gonna take that risk.
Definitely. Well, don't wait too long. Definitely get that done. What scares you the most about the future?
I guess what scares me the most is not having anything to back up on.
Like if your main...
So like say, like I said, I have some plans, what if that plan goes wrong? What if one day I go to school and, they tell me, oh, my school's more expensive? Or what if they tell me that I get an injury and then I have to back up on another school and that other school charges more? That's the scary feeling that I that's something that a real problem that I'm, scared of, to this day. What if I get injured? Then that means I won't be able to play no more. Then that means I'll have to find something else.
Why not prep and have a backup plan?
Well, I have an idea of something that I want to do, and it's to coach at a college level.
Okay.
And that's something, I don't really need, even though if I'm injured, that'd be fine. It's not a lot of work.
I don't think we've ever actually addressed what do you want to do for your career? What do you want to do for an occupation?
My career, either a physical therapist, as helping rehabilitate people from injuries and stuff. And that's something I would like to do. I used to always give my grandma massages on her feet and stuff, and on her legs, and she loved that, and she said I was really good at it. So I thought I'd give physical therapy a try. And then I injured my ankle one time in sophomore year, and I had to go to rehab for that, and that was cool. The fact that they helped me get back on the field and stuff. And now, since I've been at Jacksonville, the next goal, that's my first plan. The backup plan is the physical therapy, is to be a collegiate coach, is to coach at a college level.
Okay.
And that's something that I want to do because goalkeeping is a separate position, from everybody else. You can't have like a midfield coach or a defensive coach.
Right.
You have a goalkeeper coach. And that's a job that I would like to fill. A goalkeeper coach, an assistant coach, a head coach. That would be a lovely thing to do.
So what's the annual, and I don't want to get too specific with this, but what's the annual income for something like that?
Probably it depends on the school. If you go to a Division I NCAA big school, you'll get 6 figures as a head coach.
On average, what would you say it is?
It's probably 60, 70.
60, 70. So that's definitely comfortable.
Yeah.
That's a great amount.
That's something, they give you, sometimes they give you a home, sometimes they give you food, stuff comes included with that. So
right.
That's something that I would like to do,
So just forgetting the fact that, there's a good chance you'll get married and have, mixed incomes and things like that. Just with this income stream, would you be happy with that for the rest of your life?
That's perfectly fine. I would love it.
You don't have any goals or anything like that to retire when you're 30 or be a billionaire, millionaire someday?
Obviously, there's those ideas in your head, but those are some wants that I want. I want to provide my family, without them working for the rest of their lives.
But that admittedly, that will be hard to do with $70,000.
It's impossible.
Yeah,
it's not something that could be done, but it's something. It's kind of selfish to say, but it's something that I would value. It's something that would value me a lot.
But why not have bigger dreams and ambitions?
Well, I do have bigger dreams, but
So what? There's a but right there, and that's the biggest thing. Is
I
heard some. I think it was from Game of Thrones or something, where it's everything that comes before the word but is just BS. So what is this but part? What's stopping you from having these goals of?
There's really nothing stopping me.
Okay.
What's stopping me is what I want to focus on. So I guess I became comfortable with that idea,
How can you be comfortable when you're already in your 20s,
It's kind of weird to say because, I have a backup and I have this and, you're right, maybe I could, pick up a music career, or maybe I can, go to acting or something like that. Jobs that pay 6 figures, right?
It doesn't. I'm talking about being a millionaire. I'm talking about, and you
or
can do that with your soccer and experiences, coaching, and everything like that.
Maybe if I, I've had some ideas. Maybe if I open a soccer club where kids pay, a lot of money to come for me to coach for them, or maybe I open up an indoor. That's another thing.
That's a great idea. So with the indoor, why is that not your main goal?
Because I feel like to get to that, I need to do coaching. and then from there I would go from. So like I said, I'm improving every day.
Right.
You know, I'm seeing these little goals first, and then from there I see, oh, what's next? Because obviously in 3 years I could be an assistant. It takes 2-3 years. I could take next year. I know a guy who's at my old school who's a year older than me. He's already assistant coach.
Right.
You know, there's nothing stopping me of going, hey, next year I can call up one of my old coaches, say, hey, can I be your goalkeeper coach? I could probably do it for free. But I get that experience, that title, and I could transfer from somewhere else.
So this is a goal that's very reachable. Why wouldn't you have goals that are further out, like owning an indoor? And on top of that, I know you brought up the point, oh, well, I would need to get some income first so I could later on get into something like that. Who has walked up in your life so far and told you, Angel, you cannot open up your own indoor because you need to be a coach first and have enough money first?
No one has.
So who set that obstacle in place? Who set that barrier for yourself?
I guess it's a safety rod for me, you know? I guess
you want this secure feeling.
Yeah, I want that security. It's more of that because I don't want to invest, you know, it's the risk. You know, I can invest all my money into this indoor, but if it's successful, then I don't need to be a coach. I can make more money than a coach was owning that indoor.
But right now, you're 20 years old, right?
Yes, 20.
So if you lost everything you own, right, kind of like going back to the Mexico story, are you really hurting that bad? You could...
No. Obviously not. Now that I think about it, but
so why not go out, get the biggest loan for whatever, $100,000, try and start your own indoor. Even if it fails, you'll be like what, 25?
25, yeah.
Yeah, we'll say 25. Yeah, just shooting a random number, dude. You have 26, 27, 28, 29. All of your 30s are still beautiful times. You're young. All of those you could go back and be a coach. Yeah. So why not? That's my question to you. That's what I find shocking.
There's one thing that's stopping me right now. In 20 years, in 10 years, I can still own an indoor. But in 10 years, I won't be able to play goalkeeper anymore.
But in 20 to 10 years, you'll have more risk. You'll either be married, you'll have kids, you'll have other obligations. Yeah. If you lost $100,000, it's a lot more risk then than it is now.
But for me, the value of playing overcomes the value of success, overcomes the value of that income. Like I said, a phone call from a suicidal friend could be more valuable than $1 million.
Right.
So for me, keep on playing and keep on going and playing as far as I can until I can't play no more is more valuable than whatever income I make from an indoor.
I think that's a great point. So how long can you play professionally until you get to this point where they're like, okay, either we want you to play pro, like big time, we're going to pay for it, or like, that's it, I've reached the end of the line. Those were good college soccer times.
Realistically, it would end my senior year. That's, the realistic goal.
So that's next year?
Next year, yeah.
The end of next year?
The end of next year. So
2021?
2021.
Okay.
So that would be realistic on average.
You'll be 22?
I'll be 22 when I graduate, and that would be the final, really.
So then after 22, if things don't land towards you playing pro soccer, would you go back to this indoor idea?
Yeah. It all depends on
But when you came in here today, that was not even that was like an idea bouncing around, but
that's an idea for the future, That's something that I had planned for the future, I'm a security kind of guy. I'm not I would say, my risk was leaving home, and I do feel kind of ambitious sometimes, but having security is more important for me.
But your biggest handicap is yourself.
Yes.
And so if you're already putting this obstacle to where you're like, yeah, here's the ceiling, it's $70,000, I'd be happy with that. Well, I know damn well, Angel, if you had 30 mil, you would be happy with that too.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand why the goal isn't 30 mil, because even if you don't hit that, and I don't just love money. I love picking people's brains and asking them, hey, I know your dream is this, but why isn't it bigger?
Yeah.
Because when we were little kids, you had dreams of, flying to space and things like that. And that's such an ambitious goal. But I feel like life is so harsh and so brutal. It's just beat us down so much to where now we have what we call realistic goals.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I have.
And I hate to say this, and this is probably not the right word, but I find it pathetic.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have that. We are still so young.
Yeah, of course.
Even people in their 50s, by all means,
Can
go out
still-
and start
yeah.
the biggest business in the world. I understand you have way more risk then, but I like thinking towards the future,
Yeah.
and I like embracing the time we have now.
Yeah, it's a beautiful idea because there is limitations on my mentality and stuff like that. I try to find a safe option. I don't, because I guess you're told in society, if these high risk, high reward situations aren't worth it, but some people are able to bounce back even if it fails. But
And you would at this age.
however, I guess.
Are you
the
just afraid
sense
of failing?
failure? Yeah, the sense of failure is very frightening, and that's something I shouldn't be, because when I play every weekend on indoor, I have a sense of failure.
What was
a
your
risk.
biggest failure?
My biggest failure, probably for me, not being into what I love at a younger age. So I became interested in soccer around freshman year, and I didn't really get, to the grind around my senior year.
So if you could go back and do
if
things
I could
different.
go back, I would go back and play at a younger age and play at a higher level. So maybe, those are what if scenarios. Maybe I could go to a better school with less payment plans and not have to pay as much for my education. But see, it's something that I enjoy. Like, I enjoy playing so much that, like, even if you offer me $1 million to stop playing, I wouldn't want it.
Well, this is what I'm saying, is using your same ideology, talking about, and this is still a if scenario. If after you're 22 and you don't, that's the end of the line. That's either you made it or you haven't made it. That's if it falls on you haven't made it. Why would you not go back and work on something bigger, something more ambitious, with a higher potential to do the things that you want to do for your family? Like, you live in a country where you have so much game opportunity, you're drowning in it at this point.
Obviously.
So what shocks me is how little people are actually taking that opportunity because of the fear of failure. Whereas I just asked you, what's your biggest fail? And you said it was not getting into soccer earlier, and if you could go back, you would grind on it at an earlier age. So now, if you were 80 years old, talking to your 22-year-old self, I really would love to hear that conversation and see if you would be...
there was probably a bigger risk in the future that I would probably...
Right.
And you never know. And even now, I don't know if I will, continue these goals in the future. Who knows? Maybe I will, make that huge investment in huge risk for that indoor.
And I'm not saying the indoor specifically. I'm just saying set your goals that high or higher.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that I really want to be taken away from all of this, is just, you're your biggest enemy, honestly.
Of course.
And, it's so weird. You are yourself. You're living in yourself, but yet you're also a stranger to yourself.
Kinda.
Yeah, people come up and they say, hey, so what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Or what do you like? And as simple as that answer should be, you have to think, what do I like? I don't know.
I feel like that's a difficult question, because every day you like something new. Every day is you're not the same guy you were 8 years ago.
Right.
If you asked me 8 years ago what I wanted to do, I would say something ridiculous, But as I get older, now I know what I want to do. And as I get older, maybe those things might change.
Right, you're still discovering yourself.
So I'm still discovering myself, so I can't say that.
I just find that so mind-boggling, because you are yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, how are we not just born knowing, oh, hey, I'm a professional soccer player. I could be nothing else.
Yeah.
This is just...
But that's because each day is something different. Each day you learn a little bit more. Each day you experience something different. Each day you change ideologies. You see something new. Whether it's, whether you live in a, very stereotypical cliche, hometown, you still see something you didn't see the day before.
Right.
Maybe things were in different places and stuff like that. And I think that's what changes. That's why we have these goals and these future ideas that we have. Every day we change. So I think, improving on ourselves so that these changes can actually happen, or maybe they won't. the goal is just to improve yourself every day, and whether it's with huge goals or small goals, I think it all matters the same.
Yeah, just got to take it step by step. I think the first step is definitely recognition and realizing this is all on you. It's up to you to improve it. And that's, if there's anything listeners actually can get from this, I want it to be that. Yeah. That they realize, it's up to them to pave their own path.
Yeah, you decide the value you have in your society.
For sure.
Like I said, if I wasn't, if I didn't practice every day, maybe I wouldn't get that value that I got. Or maybe if I would have practiced more when I was younger, I would have had more value as a kid.
But you're providing value. That's why you're getting value. If you weren't such a good goalie, people would not walk up to you and say, hey, you're amazing at what you do.
Yeah.
That takes hard work. That takes confidence. That's time out of your day and training and effort you put in to yourself, that you're investing in yourself.
And I think these aspects that you say also affect people in everyday life. So even if you work a 9-to-5 job, if you do that extra work, if you do that extra grind, you will be rewarded. You will have your productivity will be better, and people will recognize that. It might not seem like it right now, but if you use, we're talking about sports and stuff, but you can do this on your 9-to-5 job. You can do this on anything you do. If you work at a car wash, if you say, hey, sir, I used to work at a car wash. I could clean a car more than what I'm supposed to. The manager would be like, hey, you got to go a little faster. But if I clean the cars right, maybe the guys would give me a better tip. And if they keep seeing that, the manager would recognize me. Maybe he might move me up to work tickets. If he sees that I'm selling, I'm doing above and beyond what I'm supposed to, he can move me to assistant manager.
Sure.
Stuff like that. And that is like reflecting on the same thing that happens when you play or when you do something. It's just improving every day on what you do and how to be more valuable in your society.
Yeah, I think while you're young, it's important to an extent to not get too comfortable, not get too satisfied with where you're at. If you're working this job and you're putting everything in it and you're just not getting this value back, don't become a victim to an extent where you're seeking this value, like, hey, I work so hard, why don't I get the recognition I deserve? Because you don't want to be like that. But honestly, don't be afraid to change your environments. That's kind of what all of this is. We're all in our 20s. We're all trying to discover, figure things out. Swap your environments out a little bit.
Environment is key.
Yeah, exactly. The people you're around, the society you're building, the network you're growing, that's huge, especially when we're in our 20s.
Yeah. You're influenced by everything you see, all the people around you. Everything is so contagious, whether you're smiling or whether you're sad or whether you're all that is contagious. Whether the music you listen to, if you live around a guy who listens to country all day, maybe all of a sudden you listen to country more often.
Exactly. You might love it. You might never known you even liked it, but someone introduces it to you. Yeah, I think that's awesome. So what's going to a different question now and kind of jumping off the branch of what your biggest failure was and overcoming that and things like that. What would you say has been the happiest day or moment of your life?
The happiest moment, I guess it would be when it was in high school. We played against Naaman, and we were both 0 undefeated at the time. And the goalkeeper got hurt and I got put in, and I remember I played and I didn't play that well, but we won, and I had some 3 good saves, and those were the most. I was so nervous, so intense, and I remember my mom and dad were there, and I had a little shawty, she was there, and I remember just going up after, feeling the best, and then I threw a party that night, and I remember it was
just being surrounded by your friends.
Yes, and even the guys from Naaman who we played against were there. Wow. They showed up.
Did you invite them?
Well, yeah, I knew them. I had some close friends from there. I didn't really invite them, but I knew them, so I wasn't the kind of guys like, hey, you guys aren't invited. And they came and we talked about it, and it was just, they weren't upset. They didn't come to fight. They just came to party and stuff. And even though they lost, they didn't mind. They knew it was a good game, and they were friends of ours, so we're not gonna fight about it. And it was a great night, seeing that not only people that I beat, were were humbling themselves to come over and not to start any problems made me feel good. And having that sense of value that day and that night was very, very good.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's a beautiful story. That's really cool. What would you say success means to you? What's your definition of the word success?
I think success can mean really anything, really anything that you feel value. I think value is what drives people. It's what makes people do stuff. Because think about it. Some people say success is having a lot of money. Well, if you have a lot of money, you have a lot of value. And some people say success is providing for your family. When you provide for your family, they value you. You're valuing them.
Right.
So I think having value is success.
Okay.
And having value, a balance of value in yourself and value with others. And I know I say value a lot, but I don't know. It's just something I realized as a kid, or I realized a couple years ago that it's just so important to feel recognized and to experience that feeling of it's not even always being loved, because some people say that love is this, that love is most important, but I feel like being recognized is the most important
thing. The exchange of value with relationships and people.
Because even value has been going on since the Stone Ages, Well, I value this herb, and you value this meat. Let's trade.
So honestly, rather than value, I would say it's relationships with people.
Yeah.
Having healthy relationships with people is how you would define success, by giving and receiving value.
I would say, because like I said, without people, there's nothing special about you. You just there's no one to compare you to. You're just you're just the only human. So if you have all these other people, and these people influence, these people have different ideas, these people make up who you are, and that's why I think it's so important to be recognized by not only them but yourself and how you relate to them and stuff. Yeah,
that's great. I love that. So before you go, I want to do a quick lightning round with you.
Okay.
I've got 10 questions I want to ask you really quickly. Just shoot off whatever the answer is as quick as you can, and I'll ask the next one.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
So favorite music artist?
Joji.
Joji?
Yeah.
Okay. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Really? Beach?
Yeah.
I pinned you for more of an outdoorsy kind of nature vibe. The
mountains hurt my ears.
Because of the elevate.
Yeah.
What about just trails and things like that at a normal level? Do you love camping? Have you ever?
I've been camping, but I think I think camping's better than. It's because the mountains, they pop my ear and it hurts really bad.
Yeah, I get that, and the change of altitude.
Camping is fun. It's really
so
fun. It is relaxing, because when I was at Jacksonville, my friend was he wanted to steal a chicken. That was his thing. He was like, this chicken can make my roosters better.
Okay.
And I was just like, all right, dude. Well, let's go check it out. Let's go see if we can steal it.
Right.
And we went every day walking around the neighborhoods of Jacksonville. Like, oh, there's some more chickens over here. Let's try to steal them. And then we got to the point where we were like, oh, fuck the chickens. Let's just walk around and enjoy the fresh air. And that's what we did for a month. Just walk around the neighborhoods, and the trees were everywhere, and it was nice.
So you do prefer mountains and...
I would say I love hiking more than the beach.
Right.
But mountains...
Yeah, mountains, that's true. Personally, I love camping, and I love going outdoors. I'm a big camping guy, and so I wanted to show you this product I got the other day off Amazon. It's like a little LED flashlight, has great battery life, and then it has this other feature on here that if you go like this, check this out.
Oh, that scared the shit out of me.
It's also a taser in case anyone gets a little too friendly on the hike, and you gotta feed them off. Isn't that insane?
What?
It's like $20 on Amazon or something. I just had to show it to you. I thought this was one of the best purchases I've ever made. Okay, back to the lightning round. Let me ask you the next question. So, Instagram or Facebook?
Facebook.
Facebook. Really? I thought you'd be more of an Insta guy.
It's because they have all the memes, all the memes on Facebook, and then you have that connection that you get with your family and stuff. It's just irreplaceable,
Family, yeah, definitely. Favorite YouTuber?
Favorite YouTuber? I had one and I can't think of one right now.
Was it the taser?
The taser
clears your brain.
It just cleared my mind. I had to say the classic PewDiePie.
Yeah. Have you been watching his Minecraft thing?
I haven't watched him lately.
Okay.
But he was something that introduced me to a lot of things. And,
yeah. He honestly
I really like
he's
his video.
Very
I really
solid
like his content. Even though it's not my style anymore, but I loved him as a kid. And I still cherish what he did, and he showed me everything around the YouTube community. So
yeah, he's great. I think we already talked about this. Maybe not. Place you want to most travel to? Japan. That's what I figured. Cats or dogs?
Dogs. I'm allergic to cats.
Oh, okay. You have a dog, right?
Yeah, I have a dog. He's a husky.
What's his name?
Ozzy.
That's a really cool name. Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Yeah, same. I love Christmas. How many hours a day do you spend on your phone?
Oof. Lately, since I haven't been working, so much. Really? The past week, it's been crazy. So
out of the 13, 14, whatever hours you're awake?
Probably like 3 or 4. And that's bad. That's really bad because when I was in Jacksonville, it was probably like 1 or 2.
Ooh, it's like tripled.
So it's like tripled. And even when I was working, it was probably like maybe an hour or 2.
Do you watch on the screen time thing to see how much?
Yes, on my YouTube, and I've been going crazy on it, and I just feel like because yesterday I was watching just some nonsense. It wasn't nonsense. It was like I bought some cleats, and then I want to sell them, and I was looking at the Amazon things. I sell stuff on Amazon, and I was like, I just want to sell 2 cleats to make my money.
Right.
And I just stuff like that just it adds up.
You go in this rabbit hole of YouTube, and it takes hours to get out.
I hate that. And it usually only takes me like an hour. I'm just an hour scrolling through my phone.
Right.
Because what I spend most of my time on is on YouTube. Like I probably spend like maybe an hour on social media.
Right.
With including the day. With Instagram, Snapchat. Twitter. But the most time, that 4 hours is probably of just YouTube videos.
Definitely. That is where the longest content is. So it makes sense. Mm-hmm. But yeah, okay. Let's see. Favorite gas station snack?
Favorite, the Airhead gummies.
Really?
Yeah, I like those.
That's pretty sweet. What about weirdest or worst habit?
I rip my nails like that.
Really?
Instead of biting them and stuff.
Yeah.
My fingernails, I just rip them off, and they come off cleanly.
Really?
Every time, yeah. And I feel like that's the best way to do it. Just rip them off.
That is strange. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's honestly everything I have. Do you want to plug your social? I pinned you as an Instagram guy, so I have your Instagram here if you want to.
Yeah, you can say it.
Okay, so if you guys want to follow him on Instagram, his Instagram is Angel ANGEL _ Arredondo ARREDONDO 04.
Follow me, guys.
Yep, Angel _ Arredondo 04. So give him a follow, give him a shout out. He'll probably tell you more crazy stories about his parties and whatnot. But yeah, thanks for coming on the show. I loved having you.
Thank you for having me.